Good day, everyone. My name is Miguel Padilla, and today I will be reporting about the growth of power in the Roman Church, the downfall of Western Roman Empire, and the leaders of the period. We have seen the city of Rome supplanted or changed by Constantinople as the capital of the world. We shall now see Rome asserting its right to be the capital of the Church. Throughout this period, the Roman Church was gaining in prestige and power. The Bishop of Rome, now entitled or now called as Pope, was claiming the throne of authority over all the Christian world and recognized as head of the Church in all Europe west of Adriatic Sea. The causes of growing power of Roman Church. One of the causes of growing power of Roman Church is the analogy of imperial rule. The likeness of the Church as an organization to the empire powerfully strengthened the tendency toward one head, meaning that the Church should be governed by one head. Another is the assertion of apostolic sanction or the claim of apostolic permit. Rome claimed that its founders are Apostle Peter and Paul, that Peter was the first bishop of Rome, that Peter, as chief of the apostles, must have possessed authority over the whole church. Then the character of Roman Church and bishop and under this category are the bishops, the Church at Rome Orthodox, the practical Christianity of Roman Empire. The bishops at Rome were far greater measure than those in Constantinople, strong, wise, and forceful men who made themselves felt throughout the church. The church, the church at Rome Orthodox had always been conservative in doctrine. This trait greatly added to its influence in the church. The practical Christianity of Roman Church showed practical Christianity by excelling it in care for the poor. They not only doing it to the members, but even to the needy among the heathen in times of famine and pestilence. They- And then the transfer of the capital. The transfer of the capital from Rome to Constantinople, instead of lessening the influence of the Roman bishop or pope, it greatly increased. Now that the capital was far away, the Roman bishop or pope began to take place toward the Roman emperor. Then the second part is the downfall of Western Roman Empire. In the reign of Constantine, outwardly the realm seemed as well protected and unshakable as it had been in the reign of Marcus Aurelius or of Augustus. Yet it was honeycombed, or some many had issues with moral and political decay, and are ready to collapse under invaders from every side who were eager to prey upon it. Upon it. After the death of Constantine, the barriers on the border of the Western Empire were broken down. The hordes of barbarians were everywhere, pouring it upon the helpless provinces, seizing or conquering the territory and establishing independent kingdoms. One is the one of the causes of overthrow is its riches coveted. The riches of the empire were coveted or desired by the barbarian neighbors. The wealthy city were living in cities, having a large field with harvest. The people there possessing all things are desired by the barbarians. And then the Roman unused to war. The Romans, through centuries of peace, they had grown unused to war. The Romans they no longer serve in their own armies, for they hire foreigners to do their fighting when fighting when fighting is necessary. And these armies that they hire are manned by the barbarians. That's why no wonder the downfall of Roman Empire. Then the empire weakened by civil war. The empire, not too strong in its resources of men, carried on through generations by claimants to the imperial throne. Emperors were no longer chosen by the Senate. The army set up its own candidate, and decision was not by votes, but by arms. Cities were plundered, armies were extravagantly paid, and the whole empire was impoverished by the ambition of men for power, and as a result, garrisons were called away from the borders, and the land was open and helpless against the barbarian invaders. Then the movement of Asiatic tribes. The immediate cause of many invaders lay in the movement of Asiatic tribes. The Romans had been driven from their homes by the oncoming of an irresistible host of strange warriors accompanied by their families, who had changed their habitations from the interiors of Asia. These people were called in turns were called Huns. Under their fierce King Attila came to direct contact with the Romans and proved the most terrible of all foes. Then the invaders tribes. These are the Visigoths, Vandals, Bulgarians, Franks, Saxons, and Angles, Huns. The Visigoths, led by their chieftain Alaric, swept over Greece and Italy, captured and spoiled Rome, and set up a kingdom in southern France. Then the Vandals, under Genseric, marched across Spain, France to Spain, and these into northern Africa, conquering their cities. The Burgundians crossed Rhine and established a kingdom having Strasbourg as its center. Then the Franks, a German tribe, captured all northern Gaul, which they which are now called Francia. Franks Frank's king became later a Christian and was followed by his people, that is Clovis, the King Clovis, and Saxons and Angles are from Denmark and the land northwards, finding that Britain had been abandoned, deserted by the Roman legions, uh, inroads or damaged generation to generation. Itself was converted through missionaries from Rome. The Huns, under King Attila, they invaded Italy threatened to destroy not only the Roman Empire but other kingdoms within the border, and Goth, the Vandals, and the Franks united against the Huns under the leadership of Rome. The battle at Chalons in 451 decided that Europe should not be ruled by Asiatic but should be developed into its own civilization. Then the fall of Rome in 476 AD. By the successive invasion, the large empire of Rome was reduced to a little territory around the capital. 476 AD, a comparatively small tribe of Germans, the Heruli under King Odoacer, took possession of the city and dethroned the boy emperor. In 476 AD, King Odoacer was a soldier and statesman of barbarian background. He is the first barbarian king of Italy, and 476 AD is traditionally considered the end of the Western Roman Empire. The fourth of the downfall is the Church in the barbarian. Nearly all these invading tribes in their homelands had been hidden. The exception was the Goths, who had been already converted to Arian Christianity. In time, the Arians became Orthodox believers. Although the empire fell, the church still showed itself imperial. Then the of the period, leaders in this period of the imperial church. Athanasius is a great defender of faith in the opening of the period. He arose to prominence on the Arian controversy. He is the chief debater among bishops of Alexandria. Then Ambrose of Milan. He was elected as bishop while he was a layman. He became a commander figure in the church. He was the author of many books. His greatest honor was in receiving into the church the mighty Augustine. Then the third one is John Chrysostom. He was called the Golden Mouth because of his much less eloquence, the greatest preacher of the period. Bishop of Patriarchs of Constantinople, a mighty preacher, a statesman, and, and an able expositor in the Bible. Another leader is Jerome, the most learned of the Latin fathers, received at Rome an education in literature and oratory, established a monastery. He established a monastery in Bethlehem. And one of his most far-reaching influence was his translation of the Bible into Latin language. And lastly, Augustine. He, be- he became a Christian through the influence of his mother Monica. He is the bishop of Hippo in northern Africa in 395. The city of God and confession were among his works. His fame and influence rest upon his writings in Christian theology. This is my report. Thank you for listening, and God bless you.